research design is defined as something that will be going from the formulating of a hypothesis, how you will be testing that hypothesis, and then it starts with collecting objective facts, so data through observation and investigation, meaning that you will need to have a good knowledge of what you want to actually research. And I can't point this out enough. It happens especially when students start on the graduate level and want to do their first research project, and they approach you as a supervisor. It is the most important part, next to having motivation, that they have the grit to actually look at all of the data and make sure that they know where the gap in knowledge is. So research design is a process of designing and testing your hypotheses. You need to be very clear about the hypotheses. We've talked in previous webinars about how to develop well-written hypotheses so that they are measurable, that they can give you the answer with the data that you are collecting. And so research design refers to a pattern of how you will be conducting your research and how you will be approaching your research subjects, so your patients, the intervention, the method, and the evaluation period. Meaning that you need to have a good research design prepared prior to starting anything else. So the key components of your design should be: what is your question? Why is your study important? And how are you going to do it? And with patient buy-in that you get in clinical research trials, it's such an important part of why is your study important. And you might see that for patients, it's a bit of a different angle of view of what is important for them than what is important to you. And by having such buy-in, you will be able to design a much stronger study. So if we look in traditional terms, we can see that the proposal of a research project would include the what, that is the hypothesis, the why, that is the significance, and the how, that is the research design. From research design, I'm sure you are very well aware that we have different types of studies. In a broad sense, we can divide them into observational and interventional studies. In medicine, we would do both of them, and we would do quite a lot of them. There's a difference, however, if you are doing an observational study with research or with quality assurance. The difference that you need to understand is that with quality assurance, you would just be looking out for some sort of data within your department and looking, okay, what has happened since we have implemented this? Has it risen? Has it dropped in terms of, let's say, complications in surgical wards? However, if we look at research, within research, you would start off with a question: has this intervention contributed to this and this outcome specifically? So you would talk with a hypothesis, and that hypothesis would then be tested within this framework. And if we look at types of observational studies, the first ones are cohort studies. These are quite easy doable in clinical medicine, as you will be following a patient over time. And if that patient would be specifically at your office, let's say in a defined time period of 6 months or 1 year, you would then specifically have an option to look at the data from that patient and maybe have a research study from that data. So the purpose of this might be to define the incidence or investigate the potential causes of, let's say, relapse to a certain condition, or maybe to some of the complications that might arise during therapy. It can be perspective, and this is much more appreciated within the scientific community to make it perspective. And an investigator would choose a sample group and measurable characteristics. And the good thing about prospective cohort studies is that usually the data that you would get from them would be a lot robuster, a lot more precise than what you can, let's say, extract from electronic records through retrospective studies.